Hello and welcome back for Battle Report number 5. This is game 5 and the final game of Art of War 3 from last February. And for my final game of the day, or final game of the tournament, sorry, I was drawn against Vermin Swarm. I hadn't played against Vermin Swarm at all before, and I don't think I've played against them since either. So lots of things to learn in this one, and I haven't quite gauged the power levels of some of the units in Vermin Swarm, as I'm sure you'll be able to tell as we get into this game. So, onto the lists. Here's my one. You can pause the video and have a look at mine if you haven't seen it before, or it'll be in the comments down below. And my opponent's list. My opponent, as I've said, is playing Vermin Swarm. He's got a Plague Patriarch as his general. He's a Wizard Apprentice of Occultism. He's got light armor with putrid protection, +2 armor, and causing toxic hits on models he saves against. He causes toxic hits on models that hit him or attack him. I can't remember which it is. He's got Plague Flail, which is basically a great weapon, but also does toxic attacks. And then he's on top of a Plague Pendulum, giving him 5 Res 5 wounds with an Aegis of 4+, as well as grind attacks, impact attacks, and I think it has bonuses for the unit that he's with as well. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not particularly familiar with them. I know that it's quite a painful unit though. Then he's got a Wizard Master of Thaumaturgy, his Magister. He's got light armor. He's got a Binding Scroll and Talisman of the Void. And then he's got a Chief BSB with a Banner of Discipline. He's wearing heavy armor and a shield, and he's also got a Binding Scroll. He's got 49 Plague Brotherhood with a Standard Bearer and a Musician with the Banner of the Endless Swarm. That gives him fighting extra ranks depending on how many ranks he's got compared to the unit he's fighting. He's got a unit of 30 Plague Brotherhood with a Musician, 25 Rats at Arms with a Musician, and then 2 lots of 13 Plague Disciples with Plague Flail, so they're the unit with Plague Flails, 2 lots of 2 Rat Swarms, 2 Dreadmills, 2 Verminous Artillery, the Plague Catapults, and he's got a Naphtha Thrower as a weapon team. So on to deployment. He's got one of his Doom Wheels on the far left with the unit of Plague Disciples. He's got his Plague Pendulum in with the massive unit of Plague Brotherhood. Then he's got his little unit of Rats at Arms as his bunker. He's got his Magister and his BSB in there. He's got his 2 Plague Catapults at the back. The Rat Swarms are hiding behind the ruins there. And then another Doom Wheel, another unit of Plague Brotherhood, and another unit of Plague Disciples on the far flank. Then my deployment from left to right, or from bottom to top, sorry. Got a cannon, 2 units of Clan Warriors, one of my Steam Copters, my Dragon Seeker in with his units of Seekers, my Spear Dwarves, BSB, and Runic Smith in that unit, and then the Hold Guardians holding the centre. Then the Bolt Thrower on the far flank, another Steam Copter, and my final unit of Clan Warriors. And for this game we are playing Pitched Battle, and the secondary objective was Capture the Flags. So he's got 2 units of scoring in his Plague Brotherhood, sorry, and the Rats at Arms. And I don't think the Plague Disciples are scoring, so I've got 5 units total, and of course 3 of my scoring units are rather small units of Clan Warriors. So if he can concentrate on them, then I think he's going to be up on the objective. And I've got a much tougher time of breaking through units of 25 and 30. And of course the Rats at Arms as a bunker, they're not going to be easily caught, I don't think. So this is after my Vanguard. As I did in game 3, I chose to go with Vanguard on my Hold Guardians. The extra strength isn't going to help me an awful lot unless I'm attacking Doom Wheels or Pendulum. And I figured it would be far more useful to just keep up with my Spear Dwarves and get into combat quickly with the Plague Pendulum. As much as I know that it's a scary unit, I do think that between the 2 of them I should be able to deal with it without too much problem. I'm not expecting them to be able to do much damage against the Hold Guardians, and I should, with my BSB and my King in that unit, I should be able to hold against any damage that I might take from the Plague Brotherhood. So I take the first turn. I'm not sure why I was so cautious with my Hold Guardians there. I think maybe I didn't want to be charged in the flank with the Rat Swarms, potentially. Or maybe I didn't want the Plague Pendulum to charge that unit. Either way, in hindsight, I would have much preferred just keeping them at the same pace, so they're in the same spot, ready for a charge next turn, rather than holding back a bit. I move up with both units of Clan Warriors on this side. I take into the forest with the rightmost unit. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure what I was thinking with my Clan Warrior units. I needed to protect them, and getting them close to a unit of Plague Disciples and Doomwheel isn't really safe, so I'm not sure what I was playing at with them. And then my Dragon Seeker and my Seekers move over towards the Doomwheel. Again, with the Doom Seeker having as many high strength attacks as he does with multiple wounds too, he's going to be able to deal with the Doomwheel before it does too much damage to me. And on the far flank, same with the Clan Warriors on the other flank. I'm not sure why I was moving up to attack quite so much stuff. I would have been far more comfortable just sitting where I was and waiting for him to make progress towards me instead. So magic happens. I think I could put Rune of Revocation on the Plague Pendulum. You can see the card up there. I don't think I got a whole lot of anything else. Dwarf magic is, of course, just combat buffs, and there wasn't any combat happening just yet. My cannon took a shot at the Plague Pendulum. If I can take him out with that, or put some wounds on that before we combat, then that'd be great. But I rolled a 1 and misfired, so I took a wound on there. And that's what we're looking at the beginning of his turn 1. So he moves his Plague Disciples and his Doomwheel round the hill. Plague Disciples are bearing down on my scoring unit on this flank, and the Doomwheel moves around to see if he can take out the Steam Copter sitting by the hill there, and the Naphtha Thrower does the same. So he moves his Rat Swarms 1 unit backwards, just to keep them safe from shooting and in a good position to chaff any unit that might go through towards his bunker. And the other unit comes up in front of my King's unit to chaff them against charging the Plague Pendulum. The bunker backs off a little bit, and the Plague Pendulum shuffles around a little bit, so it's not missing both of my units here. It's getting a little bit closer to my other scoring units. And the Plague Pendulums climb up onto the hill there as well, so that's a clearer picture on this side. And he brings down a Wrath of God, so a Comet token there, and it doesn't go off, obviously, just yet. So I need to worry about that next turn. And there's the board at the end of turn 1. So he's moved up his Doomwheel and his Plague Disciples as well on the flank. So in my turn, I charge my Hold Guardians and my Spear Dwarves into the Rat Swarm just to get rid of them. Rather than just letting him hold me up without killing his chaff like I did against the Highborn Elves, I decided I'd be better off moving up and wiping them out so I can start moving on to his actual units. And my Seekers charge into the Doomwheel, because they've got Swift Stride against large units, so they managed to make a relatively long charge on this flank. And then here, I think, is potentially a big mistake. I think it would depend on how combat goes, but obviously my Spear Dwarves and my Hold Guardians go through the Rat Swarms. I think they've taken so I've lost a Hold Guardian and a couple of Dwarves to Wrath of God coming down. But I reform with the Spear Dwarves and I overrun with my Hold Guardians to get them a little bit closer to the bunker at the back there, and give me a choice of charging into the flank of the Plague Pendulum as well. Even if it charges me, it's long enough for me to do that still. The Dragon Seeker makes short work of the Doom Wheel and turns back in towards the Plague Disciples. I am in flank. I am in charge arc of the Plague Disciples, and I was hoping that he might charge them into Seekers rather than off into my scoring units. And my Steam Copter sits where it sits somewhere safe, so it can take some shots at his disciples. My Steam Copter on the other flank manages to survive the barrage of shooting from last turn, so it flies to the other side of the hill and takes a shot at the Naphtha Thrower. But unfortunately, I think it's got a 4+ Aegis while it's within 3 of a standard infantry unit, so it survives that shooting. And we move on to Vermin Swarm turn 2. So he makes a very, very long charge against my clan warriors on this flank. I mean, there's no drawbacks to him failing that, because he can just move up with his shooting and take shots with that instead. And he hasn't got anything else for that unit to be doing, so goes for it. And on the other flank, he charges the Plague Pendulum into my Spear Dwarves and my King. He manages to make it with the Plague Disciples, which isn't good for this unit because Toxic Attacks completely bypasses my armor and it bypasses my shield wall as well, so we'll see how that unit gets on in combat. And obviously I'm definitely close enough for that to be an automatic charge, so that makes it in no problem. And these Plague Disciples look as though they're charging as well. So there had been a unit of clan warriors in the woods there. I think he declared a charge against the clan warriors in the woods, and I fled that because they were a little bit closer. And then he redirected into these clan warriors instead, and I decided that at the range that he was, I would prefer to not flee, so I didn't have to rally them next turn and they'd potentially be a spot to shoot at them or support the Dragon Seekers on a charge. But unfortunately he does make it as well. The Naphtha Thrower and the Doom Wheel continue hunting after my Steam Copter, and the Plague Disciples come down off of the hill. There we go, there's the fleeing unit of clan warriors from the woods. Cannon's misfired again by the looks of things, it's taken another wound. And in Magic he's moved his 2 characters out of the Rat at Swarms unit, and he's moved the Rat at Arms, sorry. And the Rat Swarms have moved forward to chaff my Hold Guardians, so they're unable to charge either unit now, because I've got something in the way. Between the Doom Wheel and the Flame Launcher, I'm not going to try and pronounce Naphtha again. The Flame Launcher and the Doom Wheel kill my Steam Copter at last. I take 4 wounds from what must have been magic on this side. I'm not sure what could have shot them. I lose half my unit of Seekers to that. And on the other flank, my dwarves do manage to, they're not wiped out, but they do break and they flee, and thankfully he rolls very low on his overrun roll to chase me, and they make it away, so they can rally for next turn. That must be a shield wall roll, or potentially to wound roll. I'm not sure what that was, but I think I did exceptionally well to not be wiped out by, or caught by, either of these discipled units. So presumably it's something to do with that. But also, again, predictably, this unit of clan warriors do break, but they do make it away as well. So into combat. This is before combat, obviously. He's got Smite the Unbeliever, and he got -1 res against my dwarves. So my king is now resilience, or both my king and my BSB are resilience 4. My dwarves are resilience 3, and so is my Runic Smith, which isn't good going into combat. I think I issued a duel against his Plague Pendulum, but I don't think he accepted. I think he decided to just attack me outside of the duel instead. Maybe he did. I'm not sure. Either way, those characters hit each other. And then this is after combat. So my king manages to get through just enough wounds to cause enough multiple wounds to kill the Plague Pendulum, so I do kill that. Unfortunately, he's taken 4 wounds and is down to 2 left, and I've lost almost 3 ranks of dwarves. So unfortunately there, I was auto-breaking, and that's my flee roll. So I rolled a 5 and he manages to roll a 7 to catch me. And there goes my king, my Runic Smith, my BSB, and one of my scoring units, my big scoring unit in the centre. So that's a huge blow there. And it makes the rest of the game very difficult as my magic becomes very ineffective, and my Hold Guardians are now trying to chase after units in the centre there. So it's not looking good for me at the end of turn 2 for the Vermin. So going into my turn 3, I charge my Hold Guardians to get rid of the Rat Swarms, and I think I've just about gotten overrun there into the Rat at Arms unit. I could be wrong though. So I was hopefully just going to make it through to that, and that'll at least bring me back to a draw on the scoring. So I rally the unit of 8 clan warriors there in front of my Anvil of Doom, so they turn around to face the Plague Disciples. The unit next to them unfortunately fails and keeps fleeing, and my Dragon Seeker moves. They didn't have anything that they could have charged. I don't think they wanted to go into the Plague Brotherhood, because that just means that they're going to out kill me. I'm not particularly tough, and I'm not going to do an awful lot of damage against them with only 3 models on my character. So they moved to a position where they could charge the Plague Disciples, potentially. My Steam Copter in the back moves out towards the 2 characters and shoots them. Leaves the Magister on 1 wound. And I'm not sure why I didn't overrun there with the Hold Guardians. Maybe I didn't have an overrun to the Rat at Arms instead. So they turn around to face the large unit of Plague Brotherhood rather than the characters. I think that was probably the wrong choice. But anyway. The unit on the bottom right rallied in my turn and then get charged again in turn 3 for the Vermin Swarm. And the Plague Disciples on the far side charge my... So he didn't charge off my unit of fleeing clan warriors there, because obviously he can't fit past this current unit. Which is a lucky break for me, if I can manage to rally to them on my turn. I managed to get lots of magic off ready for this combat though. But we'll see how much that affects combat coming up. He moves his characters back into his bunker unit now that my Hold Guardians are facing away from them, and the Plague Brotherhood reform to be 5 wide and turn to face the Hold Guardians. I think magic takes off another couple of these guys. Nothing else happens here. So in combat on the right flank, I lose just the 2 dwarves to the Plague Disciples. And I think they must have stuck there, otherwise there'd be another picture. So going into my turn 4 now. The Hold Guardians charge into the Plague Brotherhood. I'm hoping that with my high resilience, I'm just going to be able to outgrind them. Potentially take some points from this unit, hopefully. Especially with Hatred in the first round as well. I failed to rally that this unit of clan warriors, and so they fled off the board this turn. And it looks like he managed to bounce off with my magic defense, so that clan warrior unit survived and is fighting on for this turn. I think my Steam Copter on the left takes some shots at this plague. Oh no, maybe it was from the cannon. I think the cannon takes a long shot, or the bolt thrower takes a long shot at this plague catapult and takes 3 wounds off of it. So we go into combat. The 2 last clan warriors on this side continue to fight the Plague Disciples, and I think they survive again. I move my Dragon Seeker and his remaining Seekers up to threaten his bunker, and try and chaff it with the Steam Copters to stop it from wheeling and turning away, so he'll have to make a swift reform instead. And at the end of combat on my turn 4, he kills and wipes out my my clan warriors on the right flank. So going into Vermin Swarm turn 4 now. He also kills the clan warriors on the left, and they flee off the board, or wipes them out. So I either wipe them out or they're gone. So now going into Vermin turn 4, he's now in a position to charge both my cannon and my bolt thrower, which he does, and he does. So that's not good for them. They're going to be dead as well, and wiped out for the cannon and the bolt thrower even. So characters again move out of the bunker. They're perfectly safe to do that. Steamcot takes a wound from subshooting, and the Hold Guardians start chewing their way through the Plague Brotherhood. And that's the end of the game. So I thought I had a couple of other photos there. So I think he must kill the cannon. I don't manage to catch either of his characters to score their points, and I don't kill anywhere near enough of the 50-odd Brotherhood to get them down either. So he scores the secondary objective, having killed 4 of my scoring units, and he didn't even have that many, so even if I'd killed enough of all of his, I wouldn't have killed the secondary objective. And that takes our 14-6 down to a 17-3 for him. So that ends the tournament with me on 37 points, which isn't terrible. It is something that I think I could be pleased with. I think the previous tournament I'd managed far worse, so I was far happier with my performance this time around. And it was a really enjoyable tournament. The hall was freezing because it was February and it's out the back of a gaming shop. But it was a really great tournament, really great atmosphere. Everyone there was fantastic. I had 5 awesome opponents, and it was really well organised by the guys down in Bristol. So thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.